Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Star City Blood Bowl League Season 6, Round 6 recap. We're going to dive right into the standings, look at some of the matches that went on this past week, and then look forward a little bit as we are coming really close to locking in those final playoff spots and getting ready to move into the phase which will crown our Season 6 Star City Blood Bowl League champion. So, looking at the standings of the first division, we have the MASH securing a playoff spot with their win today over the Punching Stunties. That put really the team in fifth place too far out to be able to bypass them. So they've locked in a playoff spot in this round. They also still remain undefeated with 5 wins and a draw, no losses. And they did allow another score today, so they can be scored on. As these teams continue to develop, they'll start narrowing that gap between the MASH and where these other teams are. And you'll maybe start to see the MASH defense start to give way a little bit as these teams can kind of inch their way downfield and punch in some scores. Second place, we have the Sinister Storm, also the only other undefeated team in the league right now with 4 wins and 2 draws. They have a very difficult matchup coming this week against the number 3 Iron City Grudge Bears, who have 4 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. And their first loss came on week 1, so it's been a while since they seen that kind of outcome before. And so then in fourth place, we have the Punching Stunties. They have suffered 2 losses in their last 3 games. And so if they want to keep their spot in the playoffs, they're going to need to win next week in order to keep that spot secured. Then in fifth place, we have Hashut's Chosen. They have 2 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses, 11 points. They are not out of playoff contention yet. Just one big win could put them right at 16 points, tie them with the Stunties, and it looks like based on tiebreakers, let's see, there's a +3 net here. It looks like the Stunties would hold on in that event, but the Stunties need to come out with another victory or at least a draw to edge them out by another point before the final round. If a Shut's Chosen could get 2 big wins in a row, they could end up with 21 points, and that would put them up near, above the Iron City Grudge Bears or the Punching Stunties. So both the Grudge Bears and the Stunties really need to look at, getting another win, getting another point somehow to keep them in contention. Likewise, if the Sinister Storm are able to just secure one more point, that would put them out of reach from all the other teams in the league, and they would secure a playoff spot as well. So 22 points is the magic number right now in order to secure your playoff spot based on this league. The Valor Valkyries still could make the playoffs, and so could the Silver Strikers and the Royal Family. All 3 of those teams, if they win big the last 2 games of the season, have a couple losses or things happen for the Grudge Bears and the Stunties, then they could see themselves at 20 points or 18 points and be up there near playoff contention. But those are going to need a little bit more luck as far as relying on outcomes of other games that's out of their control. Plus, they have to win big in the matches that they show up in. 2 teams that have been eliminated from the playoffs are the South Lustrian Bullfrogs and the Green Slime Packers. The maximum points they could get right now is 15 and 14, which puts them out of the top 4 running. So they're going to look to just try and finish out a strong season and look to hurt maybe some of their opponents to have an effect on the playoffs, even though they won't be there. So moving on to the next division, we have the Vermintide and the Stone Cold Stunners hit that magic 22 points, which allowed them to secure a playoff spot. Followed closely by the It's a Pack of Reptars and the Hungry Hibernators. And then the Cave Spring Crash, Grimoire Mallergas, the Corn Dogs, the Rough Riders, the Rat Pack, and the Shadow Goats. So looking at this, both the It's a Pack of Reptars, the Hungry Hibernators, and the Cave Spring Crash are all really fighting for that 3rd and 4th spot. Honestly, the Mallergas could make it. Let's see. The Corn Dogs could even make it. The Rough Riders could make it. Really, everybody in this entire division, aside from the Shadow Goats, could have some things happen that would allow them to enter the playoffs. So it's, the season's not over yet. You may have, you may be the Rat Pack here that's have 4 losses. Well, if you can end your season with 2 big wins, you might be able to get just enough to get yourself into the playoffs. It's going to be, um, very low percentage, but it's still worth trying for. So looking at a little bit of where the net touchdowns are right now, leading the league right now, or at least tied for the top of the league, the Vermintide and the Mash both have a +9 net casualty differential. The Sinister Storm has a +8. The Grudge Bears and the Stunners have a +7. So that's kind of the top rankers there as far as net touchdowns go. Net casualties, who's hurting the most people right now? It looks like it's the Grudge Bears with a +10. I don't know if anybody's even close to that right now. Minus, minus, plus. There's a +5. There's a +6 from Hashut's Chosen. The Stunties have a +5. So it looks like with the net casualty differential, the Iron City Grudge Bears with their armor 10 plus is holding up to keep them off of the injury list, but their mighty blow and ability to stay on the field is getting them some good casualties. As far as completions go, right now the Silver Strikers have 7 completions throughout the season. The Rooney Rat Pack and the other division have 8, which bypass a number of people by quite a bit. Looking at the worst casualty differential, I kind of should mention that. Right now we have a 2-way tie between, it looks like, yep, the Silver Strikers and the Lustrian Bullfrogs both have a -15 net casualty, each with over 20 injuries that they have suffered this season, and neither of them breaking 10 for the casualties for. So that's kind of the standings as they stand right now, kind of looking at the playoffs, where people could maybe end up if they can try and finish strong in these last couple games. Like I said, pretty much Group A, it's pretty much anybody in these top 8 spots could make it. In Group B, it's pretty much anybody from 3 to 9 could make it in the playoffs. So nobody's out yet. Still play hard. There's still, a good amount of Blood Bowl left to go, and we'll see what happens after that. So looking a little bit at the upcoming matches. So we have the Silver Strikers and the Lustrian Bullfrogs. These two teams are really beat up. And the Silver Strikers are still in playoff contention, so they're going to want to try and get a big win here. And so looking at their team, they still have Vincent, they still have Felix de Ogremount there as a noble blitzer. They still haven't, oh, no, they did. They have Oliver de Ogremount. So they do have a second blitzer now, which they've hired recently. They may want to think about getting a third reroll if they feel like that's hurting them. I think their team value could support that. And then the Lustrian Bullfrogs, they're at 12-10. They have a 4 upgrade catcher? Was he taking all randoms? He's taking all randoms, 3 upgrade catcher with a sneaky get, sprint, and diving tackle. A blitzer with block dauntless. That's a pretty good blitzer right there with diving tackle. Juggernaut Croxagore. Mostly they're pretty healthy, which is, not common for the Slan. So they'll be coming in strong to try and prevent a big win here. Their Bullfrogs' job is to try and stop the Strikers from getting a huge win, 2-0, or a
And now here's a word from
greater
our
than 2-point
sponsor.
win across from them. We have a Chaos Dwarf on Chaos Dwarf matchup between the Punching Stunties and the Hashut's Chosen. This one here we have, looks like a guard Chaos Blocker will miss that game, but it looks like T-Bone will come back to play. He does have an Ingling injury, and so does Pig Splatter, so those will need to be taken into account if those guys get hurt. Let's see, is anybody else skilled up? Doesn't look like anybody else will skill up before the next match. So this is kind of what they're working with. It looks like they have 2 guards, so they don't have a lot of guard, but they have a ton of blocks. So it's going to be still needing some good blocks to get them down. Hashut's Chosen, they have 3 guard Mighty Blow players. Thrackbull's got Sure Hands, Block, Break, Tackle. He's got 14 points. He's real close to picking another primary skill. Let's see here. Block. They also have their own Minotaur that is unskilled. But between Juggernaut or not, I don't know if that's going to help a ton. And so looking at this here, this is going to be tough. I feel like if the Hashut's Chosen can get a hold of some of the hobgoblins of the stunties, then that may end up taking them out there. So kind of doing I'll do my predictions here. I think this game right here, I think it's going to be 1-1 draw right here. I don't think the Silver Strikers are going to be able to edge out the Slan. I feel like they're going to be able to hold them off a little bit. And then as far as the punching stunties and Ashut's Chosen go, I think Ashut's Chosen is going to end up taking this one just because of the extra guard and all this mighty blow in comparison. And then not to mention Thrackbull's got sure hands and break tackle and block. He's going to be really hard to take down. I think he's going to take this one 2-1 in this matchup here. The Green Slime Packers and the Valor Valkyries, but both these coaches are relatively new to the game. The Green Slime Packers are finally starting to get some momentum going, I think. They have guard Rot Spawn. They still have Typhicus here with Fend Block Claws, who is close to getting a random skill. There's a block break tackle, Pestigore. That's great right there to have a 2+ dodger technically. And so looking at this, they got another Pesticor with block, so they have some ball carriers that are starting to get skilled up. The Valor Valkyries, on the other hand, do have a Claws, Mighty Blow, Yeti, who will be somebody to look out for to get some early casualties against the Nurgle. Hopefully their regen allows them to come back in. And then Seraph Backbreak is the block dodge, catch, sidestep star for the Norse, who has been scoring all but one of their touchdowns so far this season. Otherwise, they don't have a ton of upgrades. I mean, they have an Ulforner that's got block. That's nice. They don't even. Oh, they do have another Ulforner, but he's got minus movement. Let's see. They're out of money. 3 rerolls. So, I feel like if the Nurgle could get a hold of some of these players and end up taking out their armor, it'll be a game that the Nurgle could actually win this one. And so I'm going to give this one to the Packers. I think the Packers are going to win this one 1-0 here. And all right, looking at the next matchup, this is the Mash against the Royal Family. So, the Mash with LaClaws leading the way have been relatively unstoppable so far in their matchups. They're looking to try and finish out the season strong, probably try and finish out healthy. Looks like they recently got a guard block Flesh Golem. Let's see, they still have their Mighty Blow Wraiths, Guard Wraiths. Their werewolf, rookie werewolf, recently picked up block, but he does have an Ingling injury. And then Evgeny Stalkin also still has his Ingling injury. So there is that list there sitting at 1395. The Royal Family, let's see, they're a little beat up as far as the skinks go. It looks like they could afford another skink if they wanted to. But they have, looks like all their Saurus but Smog has not skilled up. But there's a number of block and guard in this one. I just don't. I don't see the Royal Family doing this unless, let's see, 1170. What's the other team value here? 1395, maybe 200K. But to be honest, the star players for Lizardmen are just trash. Yeah, I'm just not seeing where this will be useful. I think this one here, I'm thinking that the Mash are probably going to take this one 2-0. I just don't know if the Royal Family has got the right weapons or enough weapons in place to handle the Mash. Obviously, if they get some good blocks, they get some good injuries, especially if they get some injuries on the um, positionals of the Necro team, then they can really change the momentum of the game. But it's going to be very difficult because the Mash are so skilled up at this point. So, like I said, 2-0 in that one. Last, we have the Iron City Grudge Bears against the Sinister Storm. The Grudge Bears are rocking 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players in this match. 4 rerolls, so they have plenty of rerolls. Let's see, 3 guard, 2 mighty blow, 3 mighty blow. They have Gully Stout Hand, which is a block wrestle tackle runner, and they have Carrig Warsmith, which is a block fend runner. And then, of course, they have Thorgrim Trollbane. He is there. Wasn't there another guy? Maybe he was just badly hurt. Anyways, 1330 team value. The Sinister Storm's sitting at 1410. So it looks like the Grudge Bears are going to get 80k in inducements against them. They have essentially 5 block dodgers, which, won't come into effect if they get hit by a tackler, but will allow them to help move around a little bit more against the non-block dodgers and then try and stay on their feet if they get hit there. They do have a wrestle lineman. They have Telmaeus Deathblade, which has block dodge sidestep, so they're going to be able to position a little bit better. And it looks like there is a skill available here for Rykor Shade Bleeder, and so that'll probably be taken into account too. Let's see, what do we want to give him? We can go ahead and do this right now. Let's give him. Oh, what do we want to give him? Guess we might not give him anything. Let's just save up for that and see what happens. I don't see that being super useful right now, any of these skills, and so we'll see where we end up. But it looks like we're sitting on 205,000 gold pieces, 3 rerolls in this match. This is going to be a tough one. I feel like if the Grudge Bears can get ahead on injuries and keep themselves positioned really well, then they'll have a good shot at winning this one. Alternatively, if the Sinister Storm can keep the Dwarves pretty spread out and not get into a scrum, then they'll also have a shot. I think this one's going to come down to a draw, though. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think each of these teams are going to score once. There won't be enough time for the Grudge Bears to come back and score, even if the Sinister Storm have lesser players, but those lesser players won't necessarily allow the Sinister Storm to also score as well. So I'm going to call a draw on that one. Next matchup, we have the Grimoire Maulergas against the Rooney Rat Pack. The Maulergas and the Rat Pack both need a win here. The Maulergas have 2 guard mummies, 2 block dodge ghouls, and a tackle white. Looks like another Sure Hands Ghoul down here at the bottom, sitting at 1285. And the Rooney Rat Pack, of course, are really beat up this matchup. They're down three Skaven Line Rats and a Gutter Runner, so they were beat up really bad. They only have 9 active players, so they're going to end up with um, two Journeymen for this match, and then they'll get some inducements. Foul Appearance, Mighty Blow, Block Dodge. I feel like this matchup here is going to go in favor of the Undead. The Undead just look like they're a little bit stronger. I'm going to give this one 2-0 with the Maulergas taking the victory here. Hungry Hibernators and the Vermintide. So this is a playoff contention match for the Hungry Hibernators. They actually need to win this match against the Vermintide. The Vermintide, on the other hand, don't really have much to lose. So you think about it, whether they want to win or just try and survive, it's kind of up to them. But there is certainly a point at which once you've locked in your playoff spot, you're just trying to save your team so that they're ready to go once the playoffs begin. Nanook picked up Mighty Blow, also has a skill ready. Looks like they're saving for block. Um, let's see here. Norse Strip Ball, Tackle, Dodge, Sure Hand, Sidestep, and a Block Frenzy Allforner. So nothing too crazy there. They do have their catcher that is obviously going to be very difficult to bring down. But they have a tackle blitzer, the Mighty Blow tackle blitzer, so this is going to be a problem for the Norse runner. They of course have Scatter Healthy, who is a block dodge sidestep 2 heads. He's a mini hack flim at this point. And then we have a block kick red shirt number 9. So what I think this one's going to be, I think this one's going to be tough for the Hibernators. I'm going to give this one 2-0 to the Vermintide, but that's just my guess. So next up, Corn Dogs against the Corpsetown Rough Riders. The Corn Dogs finally looks like they have a full healthy team. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 10 players. They have 280k in the bank. So what could they buy? They could buy another. Nope, they couldn't buy another Corn Gore, but they could get a Marauder lineman if they wanted one. They could also save their money. They could. I'd save my money and induce a star player from my last game just for the funsies. Um, but grab a Lord Borak or something like that for your very last game to just ruin somebody's day. But it looks like they have guard. They have a number of blocks. So finally, they're starting to get a handle. They still have 4 rerolls, which is good. Sitting at 1320 against the 1340 Corpsetown Rough Riders. The Rough Riders haven't got many skill ups, it looks like. Only 80K, so can't afford much new from where this is. And so this match right here, I'm going to say this one goes 1-1. It's going to be a draw between the Rough Riders and the Corn Dogs. I think both these teams are going to score once. And then we have the It's a Pack of Reptars and the Stone Cold Stunners. So the Stunners right here are looking to stop the It's a Pack of Reptars from making the playoffs by trying to stop their team here. Um, Looking at the Reptars, they have a Brawler, they have a Leap Skink, not useful. Triple Sixes, which is a Sprint Skink, which is kind of useful. Um, was that a random? Oh, they took that purposefully. Um, a block. Couple unskilled, 3 unskilled, Saurus, Sure that's useful. Um, how many people do they have on their team? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 players, 15, 20 team value. So they got a little bit of team value bloat. I say a little bit, kind of like a lot, but um, it's a lot of players to play with. The Stone Cold Stunners sitting at 1385, so they're going to be about 120K in inducements. Let's see, what could they get for 120K? I wouldn't take Spleen Ripper. Wouldn't take Acorn. I don't even know if I'd take a star there. Probably just take some babes and or a wandering apothecary to keep somebody alive. They got block claws, tackle, sure feet, extra arms, block, tackle. I don't think the stunners will have much trouble with the skinks in this one. Um, and they have their own set of strength 4 guys as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're all there. So I think this one will come down. I think this is going to be 2-0 to the Stunners in this matchup. Maybe 2-1, but I think the Stunners are going to be able to hold on and get a win in this one. And then lastly, we have the K-Spring Crash against the Shadow Goats. So the Crash are sitting at 235,000 gold, 1,100 team value. Shadow Goats 1165, so they're pretty beat up too. They're both fresh teams. Um, let's see here. Brawler guard, troll, sidestep, couple wrestle goblins, which is awesome. 235K 3 rerolls. Then we have, what is this guy? Keep on roster. I guess he needs to decide if he's going to hire or fire that journeyman for 60K. He's got enough money to do it. I think the thing here that's going to be interesting is although the Shadow Goats don't have any skill ups, I don't know if the Cade Spring Crash have enough money for bribes unless they dip into their treasury, and I don't know if they'll want to do that. But maybe they do. Um, and so this match here, I think this one's going to end up being 1-0 with the Crash taking this one. Um, but I do think it's going to be close because both these teams seem like they're um, pretty fresh as far as their abilities. They've been outpaced as far as skills go compared to other teams, but they're evenly matched against themselves. Um, but because of that even matchup, the K-Spring Crash kind of loses what makes them um, unique um, because they're not able to get all the inducements that they typically are. So looking at the honors right now, like I said, it's a pack of Reptars have the most team value bloat right now, sitting at 1520. A number of teams around 1400. That's probably the sweet spot of where people want to be. Like I said, the Reptars are about 50 to 70K over where the rest of the league is. So they're going to be giving up some inducements. The Stone Cold Stunners, the only team to have 7 dedicated fans right now. Quite a few have 6, couple have 6, couple have 5. Most experienced right now, the MASH are leading the league. They've collected 153 SPP so far. The Hashut's Chosen are sitting at 107, a number just under 100. Most scorer right now, the Vermintide have scored 13 touchdowns. The Grudge Bears 12. Let's see here. Best defense. Both the MASH and the Sinister Storm have only given up 2 scores so far this season. Most Beast, the Punching Stunties, and the Mash both have 14 casualties amongst themselves. And then most injured goes to the Bullfrogs at 15. Let's see here. And most deadly, 3 players killed is the Rooney Rat Pack, and 8 completions for the Rooney Rat Pack as well. So then looking at the player standings right now, the Patrick Mahomes Award would go to Mario Laclaus at 235. Most experience, which is our Spike Magazine Player of the Year award, would also go to Mario Laclaus with 29 SPP gains so far this season. Best offensive would also go to Mario Laclaus with 8 touchdowns. Most beast, Thorgrim Trollbane has 6 casualties so far. Most beat up is Florent Paris with 4 injuries. Nanook has and Brick and Seraph Backbreak all have had 3 MVPs so far. And then most completions, we have Sir Radigan leading the league with completions with a total of 8 here. No interceptions so far this season. Um, in these 20 or so passes, nobody's intercepted any passes. So that's really it for the season. That's the update so far. Good luck, everybody, in your Week 7 matchups, and have a great rest of the week. Talk to you soon.